Hello. So we're going to do a series this month of videos on what I call don't assume. So you've heard that expression, don't assume, because it makes a something out of you and me. And I think what happens in education is we have lots of what I call edu-speak. And I obviously did not coin that word, but that the idea of we have these phrases that we use all the time in education, and we're all just like, yeah, we all know what we mean by that, but we don't. And I see that happen regularly. And it's awesome when someone will say, you know what is it that you actually mean by that? Because I'm not sure I understand what you're saying by blank phrase, whatever. So what we're going to do this month is I'm going to pick a couple of key terms that come up all the time. And I'm going to basically talk about what are the common definitions and what are sometimes the implied, but sometimes what are some different expectations of what this phrase or word means and how it's commonly being used. So that's what we're going to talk about this month. So the very first one we're going to talk about today is, what do we mean by scale? So I was working with some faculty last week, and they have a requirement from their state to come up with a plan to redesign their developmental math approach, where they have to reduce the chances of students needing remediation and increase the chances that students will finish their math requirement in 2 semesters. And the law specifically uses the term at scale. So they're like, what does that mean? So the main thing that I want you to keep in mind, especially if you're a faculty member and you're like, what are they trying to get at when they're saying scale? It's the idea that it's not enough to say we have a section of this. And my college has been guilty of this. I've worked with lots of colleges that, you know, you're busy, you've got a lot of things going on, and someone from the state or administration or whoever comes to you and says, hey, what initiative are we doing in this realm? And so they might be asking, what are you doing with developmental math? Or at the time it might be, are you doing a pathways course? Are you doing a co-requisite? Are you doing a self-paced class? Are you doing anything that's accelerated? You know, what are you doing? And if you have a section of it, usually that allows you to get the check mark in the box and be left alone for a little while. I mean, let's be real. That's what a lot of times it's like, just leave me alone. I can check off the box. I can say that I've done it, but that's not at scale. Scale is the idea that, to me, the easiest way to think about it is it changes your default. So it's the idea of what are the majority of your students going to have. It's not this one little offering that we have. So for example, if you're doing co-requisites, co-requisites at scale is very different than just having a co-requisite section, where you might have a class where you have a section and you're kind of piloting co-requisite. At scale means that the default for your students who don't place at college level is not going to be, say, a beginning or intermediate algebra class. It's going to be the co-req if possible. That's going to be the starting place. And then if that does not work for them, say they're already at college level, they'll be in a college level class. Say they're not ready for a co-req, there's going to be some other option. But the bulk of the students are going to be at this initiative, the one that is at scale. That's going to be the one that's used broadest, and it's going to have, that is going to be your default. So years ago at my college, we did modular courses, and we went to scale with those. They weren't just like a section or two. That was the majority, the bulk of students, that's what they had to choose from. And then there were a few other options. Okay, so that's the idea of scale. We're going to talk about more terms as we go this month, and all of these relate to each other, but that's the first one. What do we mean? So I will see you next time.